Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for October 12th. October 12th is the 285th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 286th in leap years, with 80 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is another featured word from vocabulary.com, and it's intermingle. Intermingle is a verb that means to mix together or to become mixed together. Intermingle. I guess you could say we're going to have an intermingling of videos today. I had a little difficulty with my videography today, but I remembered that I had a perfectly good video from last year for October 12th, so I went and fetched that up and patched it together, and here we go. I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes. Ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others, stay to the end for outtakes, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. There's also a link in the show notes to a playlist of This Day in History, this series, and I'll also put it up in the corner there in the iCards for those watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Vimeo, it will just be in the show notes. And we're going to start back in 1492 when Christopher Columbus set foot on the New World. 2 months after he'd set sail from Spain with crews on 3 ships, the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria, Columbus spotted land that he believed was Japan. He had, in fact, set foot on what is now the Bahamas. Claiming that he was the first one to set sight on the lands, he declared the lands as being owned by the Spanish Empire. 1609, the song Three Blind Mice is published in London and believed to be the earliest printed secular song. 1692, the Salem witch trials were ended. 1786, Thomas Jefferson composes a romantic letter. On October 12, 1786, a lovesick Thomas Jefferson composed a romantic and introspective letter to a woman named Maria Causeway. Early in 1786, he had met her in Paris while he was serving as the U.S. Minister to France. He was utterly smitten with her, but she was quite married. They wrote back and forth for a bit, nothing too hot, but he did talk about how nice it would be when someday in the future they might be together. Once he returned to America, though, and busied himself with the governmental matters of the fledgling United States, his letters became less frequent and less romantic, and he finally resolved that his love for her was better left in the fond memories department. In 1810, the first Oktoberfest. Bavarian royalty invited the citizens of Munich to celebrate their wedding. I guess they had so much fun that they decided to do it again and have been doing so ever since, and not just in Germany either. In 1870, Civil War era American general for the Confederacy, Robert E. Lee, died peacefully at home in Lexington, Virginia at age 63. 1875, English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer Aleister Crowley was born in Warwickshire, England on this day in 1875. In 1918, a fire rages in Minnesota. A massive forest fire rages through Minnesota on October 12, 1918, killing hundreds of people and leaving thousands homeless. The fire burned at least 1,500 square miles. In 1933, Alcatraz becomes a federal prison. In 1935, Luciano Pavarotti, Italian operatic tenor, was born in Modena, Italy. 1940, silent film star Tom Mix died in an Arizona car wreck, brained by the suitcase of death. On October 12, 1940, cowboy movie star Tom Mix was killed when he lost control of his speeding Ford Phaeton convertible and rolled into a dry wash, now called the Tom Mix Wash, near Florence, Arizona. He was 60 years old. The Hollywood bio for this star was that he was a genuine cowboy and swaggering hero of the Wild West, born in Texas, fighting in several wars, a sheriff, a marshal. But the truth is that he was born in Mix Run, Pennsylvania, deserted the Army in 1902, and was a drum major in the Oklahoma Territorial Cavalry Band when he went off to Hollywood in 1909. None of these inconvenient facts prevented Mix from becoming one of the greatest silent film stars in history, however. Along with his famous horse Tony, Mix made 370 full-length westerns. At the peak of his fame, he was the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, earning as much as $17,500 a week, which would be the equivalent of over $200,000 today. Unfortunately, Mix and Tony had a hard time making the transition to talking pictures. Some people say that his voice was so high-pitched that it undermined his macho cowboy image, but others argue that sound films simply had too much talking for Mix's taste, that he preferred wild action sequences to heartfelt conversation. On the day he died, Mix was driving north from Tucson in his beloved bright yellow Ford Phaeton sports car. He was driving so fast that he didn't notice or failed to heed signs warning that one of the bridges was out on the road ahead. The Phaeton swung into a gully and Mix was smacked in the back of the head by one of the heavy aluminum suitcases he was carrying in the convertible's back seat. The impact broke his neck and he died almost instantly. Today, the dented suitcase of death is the featured attraction in the Tom Mix Museum in Dewey, Oklahoma. 1945, conscientious objector awarded Medal of Honor. A conscientious objector, by the way, is someone who has claimed the right to refuse to perform military service on the grounds of freedom of thought, conscience, or religion. Private First Class Desmond T. Doss of Lynchburg, Virginia, was presented the Congressional Medal of Honor for outstanding bravery as a medical corpsman, the first conscientious objector in American history to receive the nation's highest military award. 1960, Nikita Khrushchev's famous shoe-pounding incident. The first secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union removed his shoe and pounded it on the table during a UN General Assembly meeting in New York. The incident was thought to be a response to comments about freedoms in Eastern Europe made by the Filipino delegate Lorenzo Sumalong. That Khrushchev had a spicy temper on him. 1964, first multi-person space flight. Soviet spacecraft Voskhod 1 carried 3 cosmonauts for the first time to space. It was also the first time the crew did not wear any space suits for the duration of the flight. 1968, Hugh Jackman, Australian actor and singer, was born in Sydney, Australia. 1970, President Richard Nixon announces the pullout of 40,000 more American troops from Vietnam by Christmas time. 1979, Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy hits bookstores. The first in a trilogy of 5, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or H2G2, is a popular comedy science fiction novel that was first created as a radio show in 1978 for BBC Radio 4. The show and the book follow the intergalactic adventures of Arthur Dent, who escapes Earth's destruction. He's accompanied by several other characters, including an alien called Fort Prefect, Marvin the Depressed Robot, and the Vogons, who are responsible for destroying the Earth. 1983, Tanaka Kakue, Japan's former prime minister, is found guilty of taking a $2 billion, that's billion with a B, $2 billion bribe from Lockheed. 1997, John Denver died when his experimental amateur aircraft crashed into Monterey Bay on the California coast. He was 53. 1999, the day of 6 billion. The proclaimed 6 billionth living human in the world is born on this date. Also, in 1999, the American basketball player Wilt Chamberlain died. Wilt the Stilt. He was 63. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. I'll put the link to the series playlist in the show notes and also in the iCard for those watching on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. On October, okay, with the notifications. This is why I don't do live shows. I missed that part. Didn't I read that already? Yeah, leave that part out. Yeah, I'll trim that out. But I did read that already. That's just awkward. Okay, just leave that part out. Not the first day, but the birthday. I guess the birthday is the first day. This is what happens when you don't clean up your script. I might leave that part out. I don't know how all that's going to go together, or if it's even going to make it to the video. We'll just see. That's not going to go. Yeah, we're going to cut those out. That'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. So I'll just do that whole thing over. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Changing it up.